Ingenuous of you to say that we were able to make more than one question prior. My wife and I have flown from Queensland and we had more than one question, but I respected that you said put one at a time. Now we're talking about re-electing Mr. Apt, and I've got questions that relate to item 1.
Well, Mr. Caulfield, perhaps you'd like to ask one question in relation to item 1, and I apologise that you didn't get another chance, but we have been running for quite some time, but please ask your question in relation to item 1.
Yes, certainly, thank you. In relation to item 1, I wanted to talk about the APRA report. 2 parts of it. One was Promontory issues their independent report back to APRA once a quarter, correct me if I'm wrong, and the Commonwealth Bank issues their report to the public twice a year. For the sake of sunlight and being open and transparent, which is littered throughout the annual report, why not issue those reports quarterly?
Well, thank you, Mr. Caulfield. We do issue reports, as in terms of our results, on a quarterly basis, and those quarterly reports are actually quite extensive. But in terms of going through the full detail of the material and the disclosures that are required for a statutory purpose, twice a year is the cadence in Australia, and it's quite an extensive process. To undertake it 4 times a year, I think, wouldn't be good use of shareholders' money. But we have, in terms of the Promontory report, that's our decision to make it public and disclose it every quarter. And the Promontory report is very comprehensive, so and it's independent. So we think that's a better way of disclosing our progress than writing our own reports.
Thank you. Now, I would like to talk about Mr. Apt, but I do have other questions and I would like an opportunity later to air them. And I don't mean just to talk with the directors later. When I read this report, it says there will be ample time to ask all the questions. So if there was a future opportunity, it would be great.
All right. Well, why don't we come back to that if we can go through these current resolutions and then perhaps come back later on.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
In relation to Mr. Apt, I would like to strongly not endorse him as a director. I'm at the coalface along with my bank warriors and bank people, now colleagues. During his time as director and chairman, not just chairmanship, some of the most substantial failures in Australian banking have occurred, and that's inside the Commonwealth Bank. 3 major issues. AUSTRAC that resulted in a $700 million fine, the Financial Services Royal Commission, and the APRA report that resulted in a $1 billion additional capital reserve, the highest penalty that APRA issued across all 35 financial institutions. Mr. Apt has been a director during that time. There must be I wouldn't be happy to have him continue when my wife Maura and I have experienced firsthand for 10 years. Our case is unresolved. So I disendorse Mr. Apt. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caulfield.